Welcome back. Now, C.P. Ramaswamy Iyer, who was once the Advocate General of Madras, is a well-known name. His lineage boasts of some well-known and much respected names in Chennai. His descendant, Rudra Krishna, has written a book trying to answer some pricking questions from history and the ultimate question that bothers us all at some point of time. What is karma? C.P. Ramaswamy Iyer was an Advocate General in Madras. His is a well-known name. What is lesser known, though, is that his ancestor, Ramaswamy Dikshitar, was a bounty hunter and later came to be known as Ramaswamy Iyer, or that his descendant Rudra Krishna has been writing a book for the past 14 years inspired by this fact, titled The Owners of Karma.
One of the first things that children in my family are told about is the ancestor who ran away from home, who had the courage to chase his dreams, come to Madras, become an adventurer and go on. I'd heard the story many times from many different sources from the time I was a kid, but when I was about 12, I decided to write the story down. In what was supposed to be my first book, it was supposed to be an extremely philosophical, angry, satirical novel. Questioning the caste system, questioning the conservatism, questioning just the way we rigidly stuck to things that didn't seem to matter so much to me. And well, the book took me 14 years to finish, and understandably a 14-year journey, my whole outlook on the thing changed. And so what started off as a philosophical book, I would like to think it still stays a little philosophical, but now it's more about, it's got more substance. There's not so much of anger in it as just narrating a story about, in my opinion, a rather great man.
Rudra, who once wanted to be a musician, is a qualified lawyer. It was while pursuing his masters at Cardiff that he did the extensive research required for this book. This book is a mixture of facts and fantasy and is based in 18th century Madras. As it deals with some sensitive issues like Brahmanism and karma, Rudra was apprehensive of its acceptance, but he claims he got the maximum support from his mother, Dr. Nandita Krishna.
I was in the UK when I first started writing this book, and I needed a lot of material that was not there. So I came down to India at least 3 times during the time I was there. And I would just come down, get into a car, take my father's car and get lost in and around what was then known as North Arcot, which is basically anywhere from Vellore, Kanchipuram, all around parts of Andhra Pradesh, coming down into Madras. To get to know the area well, I read up a lot of different books that were given to me, which meant, but I did not have the time or the enough knowledge to know which books to read. So my mother spent many hours, and probably, if I'm not wrong, maybe even a year, just reading through tons of books before she finally gave me about 25 to 30 books that I was to read.
The book has evoked mixed reactions. While his English wife and friends in the UK have applauded his take on the British rule in 18th century India, Rudra's association with Chennai's one of the most reputed families has earned him some criticism in Chennai. But Rudra believes that if he hadn't had such eminent ancestors, he would have never found the inspiration to write this book.
While it has been a privilege coming from the background that I do come from and having the sort of eminent parents that I do have, and I am extremely grateful for that, it has also helped me, the same access, if you will, to knowledge and education and literature has also helped me realize that there's obviously a lot of things wrong with the way we are doing things if we're still in the situation that we're in. And I have always appreciated my mother and father more than anything for allowing me to ask those questions and for answering them in the most honest way possible. So while yes, on the one hand, it can be disadvantageous coming from the sort of background that I come from, personally for me, I've had extremely accessible parents who have answered every question I asked them, no matter how sometimes they could even be taken as offensive. So I would like to think that my own grounding in what I have been doing has been excellent.
And finally, for those who are yet to read this gripping 214 pages page turner, Rudra has something to share.
The book, I have been told, is a rather gripping read, and most of the people who have read it have generally read through it in a day. And they've always, there have been a lot of emotions that this book has seems to turn up, both sometimes positive and negative, anger, frustration, different things. The book is not meant to inspire any sort of negativity nor cause it. It is purely meant to just narrate a tale, some of which was true and a lot of which is also fantasy.
Rudra, who has finished his degree in law, sure knows how to present his case. He claims that while he was studying law in the UK, one of his very good friends was a Pakistani. He was so influenced by his Pakistani friend that his next book is in fact something on those lines. What is it exactly? I leave you to figure out. But we'll tell you about someone who's making a big difference to the education scene in Chennai. V.R. Devika, our personality of the week, is one of the very few people who staunchly believe in the Gandhian way of living. So much so that she runs an institution based on it. We find out more. After V.R. Devika finished her BA in psychology, she never thought that she would become a school teacher someday. A loving, motherly teacher who would exude such charm that village kids would flock around her to listen to her stories, and that one day her love for Gandhi would bring her such respect.
I grew up in Mysore in Karnataka. I did my BA in psychology and I wanted to do my MA in psychology and thought it was better to do it in Chennai. So came here in 1973, but because of date problems I couldn't pursue my MA that year. But by fluke I became a kindergarten teacher in a small school. I loved it so much that I decided that forever I will be a teacher. And I looked at different ways of engaging children, making my class interesting. And when I saw Bharatanatyam, I felt that I could take a lot of those elements into my teaching. And so I decided to learn Bharatanatyam at the age of 22.
More surprises awaited Devika as she introduced herself to the Gandhian philosophies. A Bachelor of Psychology, who was an inquisitive school teacher now, started sinking into the Gandhian philosophies and ideals. Devika is now writing her PhD thesis on Gandhi and believes that the great man had a lot to offer in terms of education, very little of which we realize.
As a kindergarten and primary school teacher, I was looking for ways of making my classroom more exciting and more interesting, and I stumbled upon Gandhi's education policy, Nai Talim, and what he had talked about future of education in India through skills, through craft. And so I began to learn spinning and looked at that philosophy as a very great relevance for education today. So I learned to spin and I teach spinning.
And the most endearing sight is her love for a charkha. As she holds the soft cotton in her hand, her face contours in concentration, like the schoolgirls she teaches. The tuft of cotton soon reforms into a smooth string, imitating Devika's journey from teaching in kindergarten to founding the Asima Trust, a place that is giving folk arts and education a whole new meaning.
The Asima Trust helps children understand rural India. It helps children understand performing arts. It helps children understand Gandhi in very exciting ways through spinning, through a skill of looking at India as an exciting place to be in, and also to look at knowledge as basically skill. And performing arts are also a big skill, and traditional performing arts bind India, rural India and urban India, you know. So this is what Asima Trust does, building bridges between rural India and urban India through the performing arts.
Asima Trust is building that bridge by embodying folk art and education in the truest of spirit. Girls are taught to sing, play, laugh and rejoice, and are woven into the Gandhian ideals by their charkhas. After evolving such a novel way of providing education, there is still something in the outside world that pains Devika.
As a school teacher, passionately interested in young children, it pains me very much that performing arts are just not regarded as teaching tool, as something that children would like to learn with, and also traditional performing arts of rural India are completely neglected by the urban children. And so I'm very happy to note that we have brought in so many rural art forms into the urban scenario, into the urban schools, because the influence of performing arts on the mind can be quite exciting. Schools are not tapping on them at all. You know, they're not being used as teaching tool. That really pains me a great deal.
You can find out more about this organization on www.asimatrust.org. We take a short break now. When I come back, I'll take you to some place far away from the bustle of this city.